Welcome to the Cosmic Fold Paranormal Highway. Tonight, we bring you tales of phantom coaches, haunted mines, misguided seances, and a ghostly burrow. These stories, straight from California newspapers between 1874 and 1914, prove one thing. When it comes to the paranormal, the Golden State goes all in. The Phantom of Chinese Camp. We begin in 1904, in the mining town of Chinese Camp. For 3 months, a ghost roamed freely through the streets, sometimes in white, sometimes in black, and once, shockingly, in bloomers. It desecrated a church. It spilled blood. And it eluded a group of armed musicians from the Eagle Hall. Locals claimed it was the restless spirit of a murdered woman. But the truth? Still as silent as the grave. Oakland's Seance Standoff. Next stop, Soquel Township, 1874. A group of spiritualists booked the schoolhouse for a Sunday seance. Problem was, they didn't leave in time for Sunday school. Worse yet, the guest medium fell into a deep trance right when the church kids showed up. What followed was nearly a spiritual turf war, with Bible thumpers threatening to storm the seance unless the ghost surrendered the medium. In the end, they shook hands, split the building, and agreed not to talk about it ever again. Until now. The Phantom Stagecoach of Mormon Pass. Fast forward to 1914, San Bernardino Mountains. Stage driver O.W. Herford reports seeing a ghostly coach tearing down the trail at night. No driver, no reins, just the sound of galloping hooves and gunfire. Locals called it a remnant of the gold rush, a death coach, a warning. The true culprit, a ghostly burrow. But just when the ghost coach legend took hold, Mayor Caddick stepped in with a bombshell. "That phantom stage is just my burrow," he said. Turns out the mayor's donkey had been vanishing through fences, spooking travelers, and mimicking stagecoach noises for fun. Which raises the question, how many hauntings are really just jackassery? The Ghost Hunting Mine Guard. In 1893, wealthy developer Lucky Baldwin sent armed men to guard a mine rumored to be cursed. Previous owners had died in accidents. Miners refused to work the claim. Baldwin wasn't worried about ghosts. He was worried about relatives. The mine sat at the center of a bitter inheritance feud involving Texan prospectors, a defiant daughter, and a man named Peter Christian who once proposed marriage at gunpoint. You can't make this stuff up. Let's take a drive down the California Paranormal Highway. From ghost bloomers to phantom donkeys, haunted mines to schoolhouse showdowns, California's paranormal past is as weird as it gets. And now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever seen something that couldn't be explained? Call us live or join by video. The link is in the chat. And share your story on the Cosmic Fold Paranormal Highway. Just don't blame your burrow.
The truth is out there, and it begins with you. Welcome to the Cosmic Fold, where we talk high strangeness. Call us at 928-288-2942. That's 928-288-2942. Or join us by video. If you're at a computer, just look for the link in the chat. Buckle up, sit around our virtual campfire, and let's get started.
Hey, happy Saturday.
Yeah, man.
He got froze.
So,
Oh, he's frozen.
Oh, no. Did he freeze
What's going
again?
on?
He's frozen. It must be the burrow. He'll be back. He'll be back.
Oh, man. Well, it's starting to storm here. I don't think it's as bad as where you are, but once it starts, our internet goes down, our power goes down.
Well, we're kind of in the eye of it right now. It got really bad earlier. Power went out for a little bit. Came back on like 10 minutes ago. And looking at the radar, it's going to kick back up about 7:45 to 8 o'clock. So I think we're good for now. Waiting for, is he back? He's back!
I'm telling you, if it's not one thing, it's another.
Well, Al's power had gone out and it went on just a few minutes before the show because it's storming out there big time.
Yeah, this is, I don't know if you can see this, but let's see if I can.
Oh, yeah.
See that little dot? That's where I am. And that, we had something like that just come past us. This is supposed to be here about 8, if you see down there on the little thing there. Ignore my dirty fingernails. I work for a living. But yeah, so providing there's no ghost in the clouds or ghost in the machine, I think I'll be all right for the show.
Well, poor Jose, man, the last time he was on, it kept bumping you just straight out. Well, then on a Wednesday show after that, people were saying I had weird noises coming. And I'm like, I don't hear anything. Well, what had happened, this was just so weird. All my computers in my office, like they awoke from a deep sleep and all logged into StreamYard. And so everybody could hear the windows beeping and all this other stuff. And I had a cell phone sitting in there and it's going.
Oh my God.
It's how it starts. It's how it starts.
Yeah. Next thing you know, the ghosts get in the machine and they start kicking Jose offline. In spite of that extremely cool hat, by the way.
Thank you.
Well,
I mean, here, I don't know if you know, but the wind is crazy right now. But nothing out of the ordinary over here.
It's starting to sprinkle here. It's real dark, like really dark. But last weekend, oh my God, that wind was insane.
Yeah, I'm looking around for my little chihuahua.
She's hiding.
Oh my God, when the thunder hits, she shakes so bad you can see the hair falling off of her.
Oh my gosh. Well, did you want to start with the story, Jose, or should we do, I put together a PowerPoint, whatever you want to do?
Well, we can get started with the stories. I mean, we're doing a second part of California. I think I should just start with my first experience and work my way up.
Nice.
I've been waiting 2 weeks for this, Jose. Come on, man.
All right. So for all you kids listening out there, if you guys believe it, cool. If you don't, that's up to you. I know what I experienced. I know what I felt. I know what I went through. So without further ado, the first experience I ever had in California, I believe I was 6 years old, 6 to 7, because my parents divorced around 7. So it was around 6 because we were still together. Now, we used to live in this apartment in Santa Ana by the police department. And it was a small little studio apartment, dad, mom, little sister, and myself. But the weird thing was that out of the blue, if I was to stare straight ahead of me with my peripheral, I could see, at first it was just a shadow. Then it was 2 shadows. But this was like a maybe every other day thing, because once I started noticing, I was like, okay, I want to see more. So first it was shadows, 2 of them. And as every day would go by, I would just try to concentrate hard to just use my peripheral vision, not use my direct eye contact, because as soon as I would do direct eye contact, it was gone. So I'm like, all right. So I remember I would always go to the kitchen, put my back against the wall, and then just sit down and watch the show. Now, after a while, these shadows started taking shape, and I started seeing what was a man and a woman. The man I guess you can say he was in 1960 garments, because he had a suit on. He had one of those long rain trench coats, but it was brown. I can see colors. And then the lady was wearing like not a puffy dress, maybe like a sundress type of thing. And and at this point, when I started seeing actual figures and seeing that it was a man, I would just see them talking, and then they would vanish. So then one day, the custodian came in, the maintenance man that works on the building. We had an issue with the sink, and he saw me. He saw me just chilling there, looking straight ahead, and he thought it was weird. So he asked me, "Hey, man, what's going on?" in Spanish, and I didn't know he was talking to me. So then he's like, "Is your son okay?" And I was like, "What do you mean? I'm okay. I'm good." And he's like, "No, I just saw you. You were staring dead ahead, and you weren't really moving, but it looked like you were focusing on something." And I'm like, "Oh no, I was just daydreaming." I didn't want to tell him because I'm like, I don't think anyone else could see this. On his second visit, I got the courage to tell him, and I'm like, you know what? I start seeing it's a couple. It looks like it's a married couple that they talk to each other and then they just vanish. And he's like, do they do anything bad to you? I was like, no, they don't even know that I'm here. It seems like they're going about their own little world. And he's like, if they ever do anything to you, you let me know and I'll come back and I'll hurt them. But I mean, I was a little kid, so I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
I would tell my mom and my dad that I would see this, but obviously as a little kid, they're like, oh, he's just saying things, whatever. Come to find out, when I turned 16, I saw my father again, and I brought it up to him, and I'm like, hey, you ever remember me seeing stuff? And he's like, look, honestly, I'm gonna tell you something that your mom never wanted me to tell you. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready.
Here's the good stuff. All right.
Yeah. He's like, well, ever since you started telling us that you started seeing things, we started getting letters being slipped under the door telling us to leave that place. And every time they would go to open the door after the envelope, nobody was there. So then they kept on getting letters up until one letter, what my dad said was that the letter said, you guys need to get out. There was a couple that was killed here. There was 2 shots. One was through the balcony window and the other one was to the headboard of the bed. If you guys don't get out, you guys are in danger. What my dad did was he's like, all right, well, we can't really see any evidence on the window because it was replaced, but let's check the headboard. And he said that he removed the drywall part, and sure enough, on the back studs, one of the studs it had a few gunshots. So he's like, okay, it's time for us to go. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, well, as a little kid, maybe this is what I was seeing, the murdered couple, whatever. But nobody ever believed me. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Fast forward to...
Can I ask a question here?
Oh, yeah.
Have you been sensitive your whole life where you pick up on psychic energy or even empathic? You know, I know Elle's wife is quite empathic.
Oh, God, yes.
Probably way more than I am. I know I am in certain, especially if I don't sleep a lot, I just pick up on everybody's energy and you can almost like hear their thoughts or see things. I don't know quite how to explain it, but it's like, have you had this your whole life, kind of sensitive? And if so, is it sort of hereditary where your family line kind of has too?
Well, the first incident that ever happened, I mean, I want to say that I am sensitive to it, but the thing is that there was certain times in my life that I didn't want no part of that spiritual world, so I kind of blocked it off. But I feel like every time I do give it an opportunity, I feel like it comes back on, where even my intuition, which is weird, sometimes I'm like, oh, this is going to happen, and boom, it happens, which is crazy. But the first experience that ever happened didn't happen here. It happened in Mexico. That's where I was born. And I remember seeing, we used to have the outhouse outside. And it was maybe maybe 15 yards away from the main house. So it was nighttime. I remember going out And then as I was done with my business, I was coming back, but then something grabbed again my peripheral vision. I saw like something standing at the back house on the entrance. And when I looked at it straight, it looked like a skeleton to me. So I freaked out as a little kid. I called my grandma, I called my aunts, and they seemed shook, but it seemed like they were just trying to ease me, trying to make me feel better. That house was said to be haunted by a lady. And it seems to attack mostly male presence. When I went back there when I was 11, I had another encounter, which I'll tell once I get there. But a lot of my cousins, my dad, my grandfather, they all had experience where they see this lady come in the house. And a lot of the history on that house and that property, they say that there's some buried treasures somewhere in that property. But with the folklore in Mexico is that you don't want to dig up that treasure because that will bring negative energy towards your house. But that was the first experience I ever had. And ever since then, I felt like I'm able to kind of experience something if I want it to happen. Where if I'm like, I pay no mind to it, I go about my day, then nothing really happens. But it's like if you pay more, you give it more like more energy towards it. I feel like something happens.
Right. I think you're naturally gifted. I do.
I don't think anybody in our, like my mom or dad's family, they never talk about all this. We're all grew up Christians and all that. So, they never really talk about all that stuff. I know my dad had a few UFO sightings and stuff, but it's usually the male in our family that do have those experiences.
Wow, that's interesting because a lot of times it's the female, or else maybe the females are more willing to talk about it. Maybe that's what it is.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah, because I think a lot of men have that too. And it's just like, oh, you're not allowed to talk about that. And just like men have to suppress their emotions and then they get heart attacks early.
Brush it off.
Yeah.
Then you get to a point in your life where every hair that grows on your face is gray and you just don't give a crap. Say what you want. I'm going to say what I want. Nothing you can do to me.
Exactly.
Hey, that treasure, Jose, you have the coordinates? I'm asking for a friend.
Matt, I'll tell you what, there's been some instances where they've tried searching for it.
Yeah.
And something always happens. Something bad happens. Either someone's health goes down or a death happens in the family, or I don't know.
Some things are better left alone.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I know this house I grew up in. Now I could feel things or whatever, but I didn't directly experience like ghosts, but my uncle did and whatever. And we had an outhouse too. And I was thinking, I bet the outhouses in Mexico were better than northern Wisconsin, where it's minus 30 degrees and you're running out.
Oh God, yeah, no. You can go out there while it's raining. You're good.
That's when you keep a bucket in your living room or something. I grew up in New York City, and I trying to sit down on a cold toilet inside is bad enough. I can't imagine being out there in freaking Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But I know when they started, because it was an older guy, Walter Pierce, that had owned that house. And the house was built like in the 1860s, and it had kind of, I don't know if it went through his family or how that worked. But when they started to remodel and to put plumbing and electricity and all that stuff in there, it's like that's when everything started whooping up around that old house, where other people were experiencing things. And so had they done like any renovations or even like that apartment too? And one of the theories we have coming up, like on Wednesday, we were talking about it, is that I've been researching the heck out of this, and we even had a scientist on Wednesday night. And there seems to be something to do with electricity. So if that apartment was near, like, you know, some kind of transformer or something, it's like when the electricity is heightened, the experiences get heightened. And then when you're sensitive, and I had even run AI through some of my own experiences, and it found a common thread where if emotional activity had picked up, whether it was mine or somebody else's, it didn't matter. But emotions, and then you combine that with electricity, it enhances whatever this paranormal activity is. And so why I brought that up is if your parents were probably fighting at that point, if they're about to get divorced. So there probably was that kind of intensity sort of in the background. You may not have known about it, but it was there. And then if there was some kind of power, like surges or something that area was prone to, that enhanced it. And then you've got an ability to see it.
So
I don't know what you think.
Crazy about what you just said. While that was happening, remember how I said it was right across the police department?
Yeah.
While all that was happening, and I was seeing all these ghosts, which I never even put the two together. Now that you said it, that police department took a whole construction. It new buildings, new everything. They were literally digging underground. They had the power generators. They had about 6 on each side. They were just rising up the new building. So while all that was happening, there was a lot of electricity going on right across the street. That's crazy.
And I think you pick up on that stuff. It's one of my working theories right now, and I don't know if, you know, with ghosts, it's like, I don't know if these are like parallel universes or multi. I mean, I don't really understand it. You know, some of them have the ability to interact, but these, they weren't like talking to you. They were like oblivious and going about their. And so if it was like a sudden death or something, they might not have even known they were dead. And it's, these spirits are still like going on, like whatever, trapped in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, the the law of conservation says that energy can't be created or destroyed. It could only be converted from one form to another. So you're dealing with, I mean, you know, it would be really interesting if we could get people on this show that specifically live under high tension lines. Not the little ones that are in the street, but those big ass, you know, giant 200 kilowatt wires. Because, you know, there's, you know, I've met a few people in my life that are sensitive to electricity, and there's a lot of controversy around that. People say that that doesn't exist. It's impossible. There's no correlation between, you know, someone's physical issues and electromagnetism. But I've met a few people who were genuinely concerned about that, and they have, whether manifested or not, real physical symptoms or disabilities. I knew a lady in Panama who was going to build a Faraday cage in her living room because it's just driving her crazy. So, you know, whether or not that's anything that's provable is irrelevant. It's
well,
just
in Arizona, you have to, I mean, it's highly regulated now because they have found that it truly does affect people.
Yeah.
And I had lived at a place that had like all of this there, and it was just like, I was so psychic, I couldn't take it.
Yeah. I mean, I joke when I'm on the road and I drive and I'm on the interstate or I'm on a highway and I see these giant, huge power lines and I see a little like subdivision under it. I'm like, oh, look, it's Cancerville, you know, or something like that. But, you know, I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. But, you know, there's got to be, with the law of that law, you've got to, there's got to be some sort of a link. You know, it just doesn't make sense to where, you know, to where it wouldn't be.
There is. And there were so many lawsuits in Phoenix over that. And it was really affecting people.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, go on with the next. Sorry to interrupt there, but I was just curious if that was part of what was going on.
That's the New York in me. Sorry.
So no,
I'm the one that interrupted.
I think that's a good way to do it. After every story, if there's any questions, I'll stop so you guys can ask them. So that happened with the whole ghost, and then at age 7 is when the parents separated. So during that time, there was not much to see, or because all the trauma and all that. So then finally, I was 11, and at this point, we were living. My mom had taken us to same Santa Ana, but it was a different. I was going to a different school. I forget what the name of the school is, but they have this big Roadrunner as a logo in Santa Ana. So it was rumored that one of the houses that was fenced off by the playground, it was rumored that it was haunted, and no one was allowed to go there. No one could play around there. If anybody walked over there, the teachers would be like, everybody over back. So obviously, being kids, we all got curious. We all wanted to see what would happen if someone would go up there and just touch the fence and run back. And so there was 2 kids distracting the teachers. 3 of us are like, all right, let's see who touches it. And obviously, we all got courage. And I touched it, nothing happened to me. Oh, second guy goes and touches it, nothing happens to him. Third guy goes, touches it, starts screaming out of nowhere. And obviously the screams get the attention of the teachers. The teachers start running. What happened? What happened? This kid, all of a sudden you just see a bunch of blood coming down his hand.
Just from touching
touching the fence. So everybody, like the kids thought, maybe the fence was cut and he cut his hand. So while the teachers were attending him, everybody ran to the fence, not touching it. But you can see clearly where the blood was smeared, but there's nothing that could cut the hand. And the boy is screaming, he's crying, and he says that there was a dog that bit him. But that house is abandoned. That house, there's nobody there. And he says, I saw the dog. He jumped, bit me, and that's when I pulled my hand back. And me and my other friend that touched the fence, we looked at each other and we're like, there is no dog. Nobody lives there. There's nobody there. So that sparked up the whole interest of the ghost again.
Did it literally cut his hand, or was it like a manifestation of blood?
No, he had like a. Now that I think of it, it kind of looked like if you were to pinch your hand and then just rip the skin off. But it was a nice gash because the blood was pouring. The blood was pouring down to his elbow. So I'm like, everybody was freaking out that day.
Jesus, man. Wow.
So hopefully the ghost dog didn't have rabies.
Ghost rabies.
God.
I never knew what happened to the kid because, I would move a lot. So then after, I think he never came back. Did
they say why that house was haunted, or did it have anything to do with a dog going crazy?
So I started looking up ghost stories and haunted houses around the area, and that house popped up. And that house has a lot of stories where teenagers would go out there and try to, call the ghost, and everybody would always run out of that house scared. It came to the point where that house, it was kind of like an Adobe style house.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, when I went to check it out, I think I was maybe 14, and that house was still up, still abandoned, white Adobe, all the windows broken. Every single entrance to the house, which is windows, chimneys, doors, had crosses on it.
Oh my God.
When you walk in, obviously the floorboards are creaky. So at that point, nobody wanted to really go all the way in, just because you could break, something happens to you.
Fall through.
And then it was demolished. But it got demolished, and in the same style home, it was replaced. Brand new Adobe home, the same style, Same windows, same door, like nothing changed. It looked like they took the blueprint and just rebuilt it. That house at today, it has become 3 different businesses. The last business was a lawyer who, when I went back there, I think I was maybe again 20 at this point. Went back there and I just asked. I went in there. I'm like, oh hey, I asked the secretary just out of curiosity, has anything ever happened to you here? And she was looking down, and then as soon as I asked her that, she just looks up straight, and she's like, "Did the lawyer talk to you? Did she tell you something?" And I'm like, "Oh no." I'm like, I know the history of this house. I know what used to be, and I'm just wondering if anything happens still. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, I've never told anyone this. That's why I'm freaking out." She says that she'll hear kid voices at night as she's closing down, and sometimes she'll turn off all. She used to, because now it's at the point that there's no point in turning them off. But at night, as she would close, turn off all the lights. In the morning, all the lights were on. Second person that experienced something in this house was my cousin. He was a flower delivery guy. He didn't know that at that time I lived maybe 10 minutes from that house. So he was delivering flowers, and he goes, "Hey, I just got stuck in front of a house, and my car won't start."
Oh no!
Yeah, he's like, "How far are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm like literally, I could walk to you. I'm like 10 minutes away." And he's like, "Oh, is there any way you can help me turn on the car?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm on my way." Maybe 2 minutes pass. He calls me back. "How far is the fire department from your place?" I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "How far?" I was like, "It's literally 2 streets down from where you're parked. Call them. Why? What's going on?" His car, as he's trying to turn it on, just lights up on fire. The whole console.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So then I'm like, "All right, just get out of the car. If you have any water, start throwing at it, or, but get out of the car. I'm running to you. I'm almost there." I'm running. I hang up the phone. I see the smoke, and I'm directing my view to see where he's at.
Wow.
The house. Oh, there's no way. By the time I get there, the fire department got there, truck was gone. Everything went on.
Wow. Wow.
Third family member that had an experience in that house. This was on my wife's side. Her uncle. She has 2 uncles. Both uncles use the lawyer house. They use that same lawyer,
yeah,
for different cases, but both of the brothers decided to go together because they knew the history of the house. So they were always spooked about it. So they would always go together. And one day, the secretary told them, "Oh, you know what? This happens here, happens at night. Sometimes we see something, sometimes we see a shadow." Being men, being full of courage and not thinking, "Oh, it's real." They said, "Hey, let's go check it out."
Oh, sure. Why not? Hold my beer.
Yeah. Both of them get in the car. They drive to the house. They don't even park on the street. They park on the driveway of the house. Get off, start exploring. They can't go inside, so they're just looking around the front yard, backyard, and it has a little garage, which is a little guest home. So they were just looking around there. And they said that the lights were on and that they saw someone in there. So they're like, oh, they ran back to the car because they're like, oh, we're trespassing. They're going to call the cops on us. Get in the car, turn it on. Nothing happened.
Jeez.
Oh no.
Nothing happens. They're panicking. He tells them, "Hey, you know what? Get out of the car, push it out of the driveway. We'll push it away from here so at least they don't, call the cops and we get in trouble." The brother gets out, pushes it from the front, backs up, then they push it forward. As soon as they pass that house, car turns on. They take off. That night, the driver who saw the shadow gets sleep paralysis. He can't move. He can't scream. He can only open his eyes. And the thing he said he saw was an old lady enter his bedroom, come up to the corner of his bed, sit on the bed. The lady looks at him, and he says that she said something, but he was just so terrified he could not hear. He couldn't make out what she had said. And as soon as he kind of like gave up, vanished, sleep paralysis off.
Oh my God.
Calls the brother, I don't find out about this story until I start telling them all my ghost stories at a family gathering. They're like, oh, well, this happened to us. I'm like, oh, that's the third thing in that house.
Oh my God. Now, I wonder the businesses, those people that were in there. I mean, do you think it's worse at a night, or did it affect the people that work there? I mean, did they have like a lot of staff turnover, or
yes, so
things like that?
Everything seems to happen at night. Whenever they're closing up, whenever it's, there's literally nobody there. I mean, that house, the first time I heard about that house, I was 11. By the time they remodeled it, I was maybe 18. And then in the 2 years, two businesses closed down, and then the lawyer jumped in.
Wow.
And she's like, you know what? She's like, I want to say she was from Pakistan, Middle Eastern. And she's like, I don't pay attention. I don't give it no mind. If it's there, it's there. As long as it leaves me alone, I'm okay. It could still be here. I'm like, man, you crazy.
Yeah, that's a big note. No.
Yep.
It's like those areas you could even tear them down, burn them down, put something else in. And because when I lived at that haunted place in Dallas that I call Hell House, that was like that place had burnt down, and then they put condos on top of it, and nobody except for two of us could even be there. And I lasted maybe 6 months. It was really bad.
Well, it's the
really
land.
bad.
It's the land.
Yeah.
Nobody. Everyone thinks they own the land. Nobody owns the land. We may get to use it for a little while. We may have legal rights to it while we're alive, but the land has been there. And whatever happens on that land, it doesn't matter what's built on it. If you saw me looking down here I used to live back in, I think the 80s maybe, in an old jailhouse. It was a jailhouse that was converted to 2 apartments and a bakery.
Oh, that's not good.
Is that Katy Perry?
Yes.
that's Cat Perry, man.
Yeah, I lived in this old jailhouse. And
she had experienced that paralysis. Sorry, Al, I'll just
I thought it was possession back in the 70s for a few years. Right? Yeah, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
But this goes back to energy that can't be created or destroyed. And if there's an energy on that piece of land where that house was, it's going to interfere with whatever's built on there. And if someone's driving a car by it, enough energy can EMP the crap out of a motor. It just won't start.
Yeah,
nothing will work. And that's not anything that's out of this world. I mean, you go drive past a power station in a Tesla, see what happens. But it's.
I can't imagine living in an old jailhouse. I can't wait to hear those stories.
Well, that's gonna be when we get to New York. I have got so many stories about New York, which as you know is an incredibly old city, built on what I consider stolen Native American land. So there's a lot that I've experienced just in my normal day to day, but I have stories about that jailhouse that'll probably make some people very uncomfortable, but that's what we're here for.
That's right. Oh, that's crazy.
High strangeness.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
I actually have a sleep paralysis story.
Oh,
right now that Cat Perry brought it up.
Yeah.
Now this one, it's hard to believe, because it could be a dream. It could have been something that I dreamt, something, but it just felt so real. So we'll just say it was a dream. But to me, physically, it took a toll on me.
Yeah.
I was, let's see, 11, 12, 13, 13. Remind me to tell you what happened at age 12. But at 13,
Okay.
I remember, let's see. I didn't have much going on. It was not that I was tired. I would go hang out with my friends, come back home, whatever. Something a regular kid would do. But that night, for whatever reason, I'm sleeping and all of a sudden I get hit with this sleep paralysis. But the sleep paralysis doesn't happen while I'm sleeping. What happened was I'm sleeping in my bed, and the way my head was on the edge, it was hanging so that I could see part of the window behind me. So when I opened my eyes, the first thing I see was that window, but something told me there was something there, and my instincts were they just went into straight fear. So maybe that's what caused the paralysis, not sure. But as soon as the fear set in, the paralysis set in, and I couldn't move, I couldn't scream, I felt helpless. The weird thing is, this is where I'm like, it could have been a dream. I don't know. But as I stare back again towards the window, I see something in the bushes. The bushes move, something's moving. And all of a sudden inside of me, I don't know if in my heart or in my head, I get a feeling that says, don't be afraid. But I'm terrified. So then I'm like, I'm trying to move, I'm trying to scream. I keep on getting that feeling, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. But I'm like, dude, that as the only thing I can do right now is be afraid. I close my eyes and I'm trying to like come back to it, nothing. I open my eyes and there's this figure standing there where just imagine I'm seeing the window, the bush behind the window, it's moving. Close my eyes, I open my eyes, and this figure is inside the house, past the window, staring at me. Now, it's crazy because I've seen a lot of interviews of UFO abductions.
That's what I was going to ask. Was it a UFO abduction? That's what it sounds like.
I've seen a lot of records. I've seen a lot of interviews. I've seen a lot of drawings. I've seen a lot of detailed recollections of what they look like. And there's a certain story with there's several stories with different individuals who describe the same being that I saw. It was a small in stature. If I was to stand up, I'm 5'6". If I was to stand up, it possibly was 4 foot. But it wasn't your typical gray looking alien. And I found, I'll send you the picture because I found this picture a while back and I'm like, this is exactly what I saw. It looked like the stature of a gray ape, but the head and skin was reptilian. And when I saw the figure, everything in me panicked, and the figure seemed to cock his head back and forth like if it was laughing. And then all of a sudden, I get that feeling that says, don't be scared. I'm already leaving. I close my eyes. I open them. The figure's gone. And as soon as I realize he's gone, I myself did not realize I was trying to scream the whole time that as soon as I get locked off and the paralysis is gone, I realize I'm screaming. Like pretend like something was holding my mouth. So I'm like, and when everything gets unlocked, I'm like, blah! It just came out.
It releases then. Did you have any like markings or?
this is where I'm
implants
gonna.
or something like that from
This
that?
is where it gets a little crazy. I wake up after the paralysis breaks off, and I have this soreness on the
Yeah.
not my chin, but it's kind of on the edge of
The jawline?
my jawline.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's kind of like hurting, but it's not my tooth. So I'm like, all right, I'm still freaking out. I'm trying to calm back down from it. My mom comes in, everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I think it was a bad dream. Everything was okay. I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning. That soreness is still there. But now I can feel that there's something there. Like something, I guess it felt like a shape of a ball that was here. And I could play with it. Now, over the years...
Was it blue? Was it kind of a blue turquoise color?
No, at that time, I didn't have a beard, so you can see it. You couldn't see a ball. You couldn't see color. There was no cut, no nothing. But as you place your finger in there and played with it, you can feel that there was something in there.
Chip.
Now, over the years...
I had one removed because I had that kind of stuff. And I still have one stuck in me. And every once in a while, they come through and I can watch it move through my arm. I haven't had that for years. But when they removed one, I still have the scar from it because it was pinching all the nerves in my hand. And
that's crazy.
So the doctor, this was in Dallas, he just sliced it open and it looked like a turquoise pea pod. There were 3 balls in it, but it looked like a pea pod. And he's going, wow, I don't know what this is. And it like appeared overnight. And I had one of those paralysis things. And
You're
so
giving me goosebumps right now.
So anyway, he takes it, he puts it on a thing and little tray, takes a hammer and he's hitting it. And it wouldn't crack, it wouldn't splat, it wouldn't do anything. It was like really hard. And he goes, I've never seen it. So it's somewhere in the Texas, somewhere. I don't know where he sent it. I should have taken it.
It's probably in Roswell.
Yeah. But that's why I was asking, like if you pushed your skin on it or something, if it looks like turquoise, because that's how it was with me, these ball things, except for that one was big. It was like a bunch of balls in this pea pod thing.
So when that happened, it was very physically there. Right now, over the 15, 16 years that have passed, 17, you can still feel something in there, but it's no longer the thickness. It's no longer as hard as it used to be. Now it just feels like it's a shard that's just still there. But it happened after the whole sleep paralysis. Before that, during the day, jaw wasn't hurting. And then boom, paralysis, little dream of a reptilian being, and then wake up the next day and boom, and now it's hurting. There's something there. So that really freaked me out. And now you're telling me.
Oh, I still have one by my ankle. I was showing Kat it last weekend. And it's like when you're talking about it, it's like on fire. It does when there's...
I feel like I need to go to a dermatologist now.
Oh, I've gone to several doctors about this, and they're like, we can't remove it because it's got like some kind of thing that is embedded in my veins and the nervous system and everything down in my ankle. But you can literally see it. And that happened after one of these experiences where I literally, and what Kat was saying, she's saying with the paralysis thing too, she couldn't move, you can't do anything. You can't scream or anything. And just for her, it looks like she just fell asleep in the middle of. But that's interesting. So what happened when you were 12?
So that one was a very scary one. So you guys are well known about the movie The Exorcist, the original one, the first one.
Oh yeah, one of my favorites.
Oh yeah,
They and I watch it every now and then together.
It used to be one of my favorites up until something happened. But so I had my friend over. We were watching the movie. Obviously, for us, it's a joke movie. It's hilarious. It's funny, especially when she's cursing and all that. Well, the part where she starts speaking Latin and it's kind of like backwards, I guess.
Yeah. It's like pig Latin.
Yeah, yeah. So me and my friend were like, we thought it would be a good idea to take a voice recorder and record that part and try to play it backwards. Okay. We record it, play it backwards, and now we don't know if the tape already had something recorded on it, but whatever the part that we used to record, you did not hear the movie. You did not hear anything else but a creaking, like if it was a rocking chair. And then you heard someone laughing. But it was a weird laugh to the point where both of us looked at each other, chucked the voice recorder, and we're like, we're done. Turn off the movie. We're done. So, my friend's like, all right, we're done. So turn it off. He goes downstairs to grab some snacks. I'm upstairs. I go back to play the recording. Nothing on the recording now. You don't hear, it's just blank. It's just playing. You can hear the of the recorder playing. But the weird thing that happens next is the door. So as soon as you walk up the stairs, there's only 2 bedrooms upstairs. But if you go straight, there's a bathroom. Then to the right is the first bedroom, and then it's the next bedroom. And that's the bedroom that was mine. He's downstairs. The door slams closed. I'm thinking, okay, this guy's pulling a prank on me. So I'm like, all right, I'm standing by the door. And then I hear the doorknob jiggle. And I'm like, all right, he's going to do it again. As soon as I hear it jiggle again, I'm going to open it up and scare him. The door jiggles. I go to open it. Boom. Nothing there. The kid's still downstairs.
Oh, geez.
So I'm
There's
like,
a puppy.
hey. So then I'm freaking out. I close the door. And this time, as soon as you close the door to my right, there's a closet with sliding doors. I close the door and I feel like if someone had thrown, let's say, a pillow, when they miss you, you feel the gust. It felt like someone threw something at me, went through me, went into the closet, and then something smacked the closet door, like if it was trying to smack me. It's because I reacted. I jumped like if I've been in many fights. So when they swing, you kind of feel that energy. So when I kind of flinched is when the door, the closet door got that hit. I hear this kid running up the stairs. He's like, what happened? What happened? I was like, bro, let's get out of here. Let's go downstairs. At that time, it was just us two. Come to find out, as we're moving out, the neighbors come and they're like, did you guys experience anything in the house? And I didn't know at the time that my sister had experienced something in her room as well.
Oh, gee.
And so he comes up to us and he asks us, did you guys experience anything? And I'm like, well, I told him the story about the Exorcist thing, but I'm like, oh, just being in that environment, playing around, it could have just been our imagination. And then my sister goes, well, no. I had a dream where it was a man in a flannel shirt with glasses that was standing in the kitchen. And when I went towards him, he ran through me. And then I woke up. And the guy goes, can you describe the man? My sister goes, yeah. Tall, skinny, white, blue flannel, jeans. He had his hair to the side, like a side lick. And he had the thick glasses. The guy goes, 2 families before you, there was a man that looked like the one you described who killed himself in that house. Now,
Oh, geez.
That wasn't told to us when we bought the house. To my understanding, you're supposed to tell people that.
Yeah,
If
you
it's
are
a
now.
natural death, then yeah, you don't tell them, it's natural death. But if something bad like that happens, you gotta warn
Yep.
people.
Yep.
But my sister, we never talked about our experiences in that house. And then come to find out, she had a dream and saw the guy that apparently lived there 2 families before us. That was insane. So then we're freaking out. That night, I remember I didn't come home. I stayed at my friend's house, but then
I don't blame you.
no, yeah, I think it was the weekend. We stayed over Friday, and then Saturday night I ended up going back home. I would ride my bike a lot, so I remember I'm coming home. It was maybe around 9 already. Ate lunch. It's Saturday, so go to bed late. And I think it was maybe 11 at night, and my hands are starting to get very sweaty. But we used at this new place, there was 1 bedroom, the bathroom that connected to the other bedroom, and that was my parents' bedroom. My at that time, my mom had remarried my stepdad, and then so my sister and I stayed in the other room, and that bathroom joined us. I don't know if it was just because of everything that was going on, imagination, I don't know. But I remember I went into the bathroom, closed the door, did my thing, went to wash my hands. I used to have I used to turn off the light before I opened the door. I always do that, turn off the light, open the door before this happened. So I finished washing my hands. Now I'm staring at the mirror, the sink. Behind me is the white curtain. I finished washing my hands. I turn off the lights and I'm drying my hands. And I'm looking at my hands, but with my peripherals in the mirror, I see something white. So in my head, I'm like, oh, it's just the curtains. The curtains are white. I look straight again to the mirror, thinking I'll see a curtain. I still don't know if this happened or if it was just my imagination, but there's this lady, all white, in the mirror, staring at me. I look back. The curtain's not even drawn. The curtain's pushed. So there's no reflection of a white curtain in the mirror. I look back. I'm already panicked. I'm paralyzed. And it seems like this lady's saying something because her mouth is moving. And as soon as I try to focus and I can't move, I can't run. I close my eyes and I hear a whisper. And then as soon as I open my eyes, it's gone. But the fear that I had that day, I mean, like I said, I used to get in a lot of fights as a kid. As a teen, I've been in life-threatening situations. I've never been afraid like that with these experiences that happen.
Well, because you can't do anything back if that's
also you don't have a frame of reference. Someone's coming at me with a knife. Someone's done that to me before. So now I think I know what to explain, or I think that guy has a gun or whatever, but you have no point. There's no point of reference. And without a point of reference.
Yeah. So I want to say that experience was the start of my sleep habits being bad. Because after that, I suffered from, I would go 5-6 days without sleeping. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I remember I ran to my bed. And
that makes it worse in a way with no sleep, because then you're even more susceptible to it.
I had sleep deprivation that turned into insomnia. to the point where I was taking meds for it, and that kind of flipped the switch where it was getting dangerous, so I had to let go of the meds. But it literally got to the point where I was sleeping 5-6 days, like one day out of 6 days. I would hang out with my friends. I would go to the mall. I would get there, not know how I got there, not know what I was doing there. Like it was literally like if my brain was erased. And I feel like that was the beginning of all of it, where I was losing sleep. I can't sleep. I don't know. So
were you able to sleep better at like your friends' houses? Was it like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you say of it, yeah. Whenever I would go to someone else's, I think it was just when I was on my own that it was just too much, maybe in my head, and I just couldn't take it. But then, you know, those experiences were experiences that happened to me where I wasn't looking for it. It just happened. But I have experiences where I went out and looked for it and got what I was looking for.
Right.
You know.
Oh, you know, when I was younger, you know, I dealt with that stuff too. And I think that what I did, it was like, you know, so I'm going to college and I started drinking a lot because that would just put me to sleep, you know. And sometimes, you know, when I see people with drinking problems, I wonder if that's why. They're like self-medicating just to be able to sleep, because if you've had those kind of experiences, you just don't want to deal with that another night, you know, because it is that frightening.
No, yeah. No, I mean, and again, you know, people that are listening that, you know, suffer from insomnia and do take meds. I'm not talking bad about meds, but some people do take bad side effects, and I was going down that road where the side effects were going bad. So I pushed it away and seeked out different remedies, especially home remedy. My wife does these teas that knock you out like that. So I'm like, you know,
has it calmed down with age, or, you know, as you get older, or even moving out to a drier climate like here in Arizona? It's like, for some reason, the water kind of energy seems to amp it up too. I mean, I couldn't live where Elle does. I couldn't handle it.
So when I moved out here, I think it slowed down for me, and my sleeping habits actually went back to normal, to the point where I don't need any medications. I don't need no teas. I'm back to a regular sleeping schedule.
Yep, and it's dry.
When I was in the city, it was like I was off the medication, but I'll probably sleep maybe 3-4 hours, and then I'm like, all right, let's go, let's do something.
Well, here it's mainly the gunshots and the sirens.
Andy, I think you said you live fairly close to an airport too, so you've got that.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's like 6 blocks from here. And then in the summertime, I'm about 1/8 of a mile away from one of the Six Flags parks.
Oh, geez.
And they have concerts.
Oh, okay.
You need some good earplugs.
I need to live in the middle of nowhere, in a rural area. Just chuck a trailer on a piece of land. And
how's traffic after those event nights?
Traffic in Atlanta is legendary. It is legendary. Look, I drove a taxi in New York City. I would rather be doing that than driving in Atlanta. And guess what I do for a living? I drive. See this? See this? I'm only 23 years old, man.
That's pretty good. So what happened next? Now, did things continue to happen to you, or was at this stage that you just started to seek it out or try to understand it, or what happened next?
I think after that event where the whole mirror happened, and it just flipped my switch, where I didn't want any part of it, just because it was terrifying.
Yeah.
I keep looking at that mirror behind you.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
I know. If we see a face in there, it's going to be, oh my God, they're there. He's got a hitchhiker.
You better than that. Oh man, that got me goosebumps. Well, no. After that, I kind of weaned off of it because I'm like, I don't want to be part of that world no more. I feel like it might kill me just the stress of it. But then when things started getting better, I'm like, well, I'm doing good. Let me start a podcast on my own. But before that, I got to get experiences. So let's go look at haunted places. And that's when I did the visit again to that White House. That's when I did the first ghost hunting was the one that I told you on the last episode where we did the Queen Mary.
Right.
Boat. And that was the first where we went out and actually looked for something to happen. Then that happened. The one that was pretty crazy was I was doing some research near a Highway 91 in Irvine, where back in the 60s or 70s, there was a reptilian figure that was spotted and it caused an accident. So I went to the actual bridge where it happened and I was, going around. I got off and I went under the tunnel and everything. And I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool. By that bridge, there's this mountain and it's a neighborhood. And once you get to the top, it's a neighborhood, but there's a certain location where it's known that at night things happen. So of course, I'm like, I'm older now.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? I'm like, I'm not going to take anybody because people are going to freak out and I don't want anybody stopping me from doing this investigation. I go out there, take my flashlight, got my knife, got my gun. We're okay, following the trail. They say, okay, you follow this trail, you'll get to a gate. Once you get to the gate, maybe 15 minutes from there, it's a school bus. 10 minutes from the school bus is a car wreck. And then 12 minutes after the car wreck, it's like a cemetery. A lot of folks that have gone up there say they don't make it to the cemetery because once they get to the school bus, they start hearing either children crying or yells.
So was there a school bus accident out there? What was that?
So they say that back in the 80s that there was that bus through the mountains and it just derailed, caused an accident. But there's no story behind it. I look for it. There's no newsletters. There's no news report. But the bus is there. The car wreck is there. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's check it out. If something really is there and there's something, people always catch something. I want to catch something and record it. I want to catch it on a voice recorder. I have my phone. I'm going. I find a fence. I'm like, all right, from here, 15 minutes to the bus. I'm going. And I maybe had about 5 minutes till I reached that bus because I was timing it. And I started hearing footsteps, but not footsteps behind me. It was footsteps to the side of me on both sides. But when you would put the lantern, because it's not thick trees, it's just trees with small, like juniper trees.
Yeah.
No, nobody there. I take a few more steps, and now in the direction in front of me, someone throws a rock. Lands by my feet. Yeah, it lands by my feet, and I'm like, okay, there's no possible way a ghost is going to grab a rock and chuck it at me. It has to be a human. Take out my knife, have my gun, and I start running towards it. All of a sudden, I hear a ha! I stop, and I'm like, wait, what? I look around, but the sound is just the way that the sound came. The mountain, that part of the trail is kind of in a crescent, so everything echoes. So you can't really pinpoint where the noise is coming from. So I'm like, okay. I grab a rock. I chuck it. As soon as I see this rock go maybe start arching down, I know it wasn't the same rock. But another similar rock, as soon as the rock I threw hits the arch and starts going down, another rock, the rock that I threw vanishes. The same size rock comes towards me, where if I wouldn't have moved, it would have clocked me. And that was a good sized rock where if it would have clocked me, I probably would have been knocked out, and I don't know what would have happened.
That would have hurt.
Oof.
I didn't want to explore that no more.
Did you hear your rock thud or something? Did you hear it
No.
thud?
No.
So it's like
That's
boomerang back at you or something.
That's why I'm like, as I threw it, I'm looking at the direction, I see it start coming down, then it hits darkness. And as soon as it vanishes from my eye view is when I see the other rock come up, but I don't hear my rock land. But this, I'm telling you, it was the same size rock. And maybe if I took a minute to like really take a look at the rock that I threw, I could have said, hey, it's the same one. But
at this point, you're like, I'm out of here.
I'm out.
So did you make it up to the cemetery then, or?
Nope. Well, I went back maybe a week later because I had a job at the foot of that mountain, and I went during the day. I made it to the cemetery. I found a car wreck. I found a school bus. But outside of that trail, there's no footprints. There's no broken branches. It's just during the day, it seems like a cool hike. But at night, totally different.
Good question.
Nothing but Elliot says, why run? Investigate.
Well, let's see.
Stone hurling at you.
If it's a human and I shoot it, I go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not human and I shoot it, I die.
Might just piss it off a little bit.
I'm out of here.
Oh my God. Well, sometimes I wonder with these places too, especially if you can't find a historical reference that the legend actually happened. If so many people going there with the thought of something is going to happen, if it somehow creates, how do I even explain? Like it almost creates an energy that matches the legend or creates some kind of scary thing. I don't know.
Manifestation.
Yeah, I mean, does it work like that with enough people all, because I wonder sometimes with some of these places, like if you watch, ghost hunting or that kind of stuff, and all of these people keep going there with an expectation of something happening, and the place might not even have been haunted from the beginning, but you've got all these stories, and some of it, I think, I'm not saying this is true of what you experienced, but I think some of it people actually even think they're experiencing something just because they expect it to be happening. So, I think there's like two different things going on. Some of it, maybe it does manifest like you were saying, Elle, or maybe people read more into something than what's happening. But rocks flying, no, that is not reading more into something than what, that's crazy.
And I think the final thing that probably happened because I was, and it was while I was running my podcast. My wife is not really a believer in ghosts, UFOs, and all that. She's more on the spiritual side. She believes, angels, demons, ghosts being demons, UFOs being demons, and all that. But we were back in California, and before we did the move out here, and my kids would always, they were tiny, they were maybe 2 and 3, and they would always look at the corner of the room. And I'm like, what do you see? Because I know my experiences as a kid. So I'm like, if I can help them in any way, what do you see?
Yeah.
And nothing, no. But they would say nothing, it was nothing, but they would always stare at one corner. One night, I got home, back in California, I used to work late. I would come home maybe around midnight, came home, made something to eat, ate, and then got ready for bed. And again, it's just the whole energy, the whole vibe of the room changed. I walked into the room, getting ready to lay down, and it's just all of a sudden it felt like the air became thick where you couldn't breathe. And at the same time, you felt like something bad was in the room. You felt a presence. You felt like if there was another. Yeah. It literally felt like there was another human being standing in that same corner, to the point where I looked knowing that I was going to physically see something, but I didn't. And at the same time, my wife wakes up and she's kind of in a panic mode, but she's like, something feels off. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, something's in the room. And then she just rolls her eyes because she knows the story. She doesn't like hearing my stories because she doesn't like giving it any energy or any power to it. So she hates my stories. So when I'm like, there's something in here, she rolled her eyes like, oh, here we go again. You're ghosting. I'm like, no, there's something in this room. And as soon as she kind of like locks eyes with me, so in that corner, next to that corner, we have a TV, and the TV had a little dresser. 3 things go flying off the dresser. And then my wife gasps. I look at the corner and she starts praying. And at the exact moment she starts praying, you feel like, one, the window wasn't open, but you felt like a gust of a cool breeze just passed by, and all of a sudden, whatever you were feeling that there was a presence there, gone.
Who did you know that died then? Because the cool breeze, at least when I have experienced it, there was a guy that used to do my handyman work that lived like behind here. And I woke up one night with this, and I felt the cool breeze. So I tuned into who it was. And sure enough, he had died the night before. And it was a surprise. He wasn't that old. And the cool breeze to me, and it may have even been someone from your wife's family or friend or something, because it woke her up too. But I'm feeling like somebody died and they came to say goodbye.
You're
Who
freaking
died?
me out right now. You're freaking me out right now.
I'm kind of psychic, so is Al.
Around that same, oh my goodness, around that same time that event happened where my kids started seeing it, it was probably 2 weeks when we felt that presence. But maybe, I can't pinpoint a date, but my father-in-law's mom passed.
And was she sick for a while? Were they, because a lot of times, if a person, especially if they're in hospice or something, or if they're in the hospital, they go in and out of their body, and sometimes will visit you. So your children may have been seeing that. I think that's why your wife was woken up too.
That is insane, because it was around that time. And I remember at the beginning of that same year, she came over and visited us, and we all went and took a trip to the zoo. And my daughter was, for whatever reason, she's never met her. And that was the first day she met her. She was very attached to her. That even my father-in-law was like, I've never seen my mother so happy.
Yeah.
And then later on that year, she passed. That is insane.
Yeah, I think that's what you were experiencing. So when you feel that cold breeze, at least my experience with it, it's someone you know, and they're just coming to say goodbye, and you feel it.
Wow.
What do you think, Al? Have you experienced the cool breeze?
I think I have a whole list of people that I'm going to haunt once I leave this mortal coil.
Oh my God. Well, we've gone over the hour, but this is really good stuff. Go ahead, Al.
It's just, I've lost people very close to me. and sisters. My firstborn daughter passed away years ago when she was 30. And there are some times, where I have never seen anything, at least not from them, but I do sometimes get the feeling that someone's kind of just watching. It's weird because you could feel the presence of a human being in the same room with you. And I don't know what the science is behind that, but you could always feel when there's someone, when you're alone, and when you're not. And I've had many times in my life, and I've been around a while, that I've just kind of felt like I wasn't, and I wasn't afraid. It wasn't anything that made me, I've got stuff that's happened to me that scared the crap out of me, but we haven't gotten to New York yet. But as far as this goes, I felt it. It never worried me. It never made me feel uneasy. It never really made me feel like something bad was going to happen, like there was some malicious energy. To me, it was always like, okay, it was familiar.
But like the white lady in the bathroom that you experienced, I mean, that one terrified you.
Yes, I've never had that to where to where like Jose did. It was just a familiar feeling of people. There goes the thunder. My parents passed away, both of them. My grandparents, my sister, one of my sisters, one of my kids. So there's a lot of people that I was very close to that. We had very good relationships. Positive relationships. I was the only boy in my family, so of course I was a mama's boy. But it never gave me reason to be afraid. It was just a feeling like, okay, I just went with it, and then it disappeared. So I don't know what to make of that. But like I said, it never inspired dread.
Well,
it was
it's like the first one when you were a little boy at 6 and saw those people. That didn't have the terror as that other experience that you had. Yeah. You were able to just observe it, and there wasn't the fear thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that other one was. That's not good.
I don't know.
No, yeah, I think that's the only one as a kid that never brought me any fear. It was just curiosity.
Yeah. I've had things happen that literally scared the crap out of me, but it was more along the lines of physical things happening. Just things being tossed around and doors slamming and lights going on and off, and the sound of a metal cup against jail bars, just crap like that.
No.
Oh my God! We might have to skip ahead to New York.
I never had that. Like there's a evil spirit hanging over me that wants to like rip my head open or something. But no, when we get to New York, you need to schedule like a 2-hour show, Deb.
Well, let's do it, man.
I think so.
I'm ready to take a detour and go there next week.
Yeah. And after New York, look, I lived in. I could tell you stories about the top of the mountain I lived on in Vermont. That I was literally in a cabin. My nearest neighbor was 2 miles away from me. That's how isolated. God. That's how isolated it was. And so I lived in Florida for a while. Lived in California for a while. So when we nothing really happened in California except that earthquake, which is scary enough as it is back in '89 during the World Series that knocked me out of bed. But I've had plenty of things happen that I can't explain that's scared me, but it was never that. Never, any time I had a feeling that I wasn't alone, it was always a peaceful feeling. It was like, okay, someone's looking out for me. So I'm thinking maybe parents, siblings, children, that have passed on.
So Jose, it's calmer though now out here.
I mean, the very first, I've had 3 experiences out here, but it hasn't been crazy. I mean, it's been the whole light, the floating light at the well. It's been the flashing lights by the Native American cave drawings, and then the UFO sighting. but nothing
Yeah.
like California. Yeah, no.
Yeah, my feeling out here, it's way more like UFO oriented. I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain it unless it's raining. That's what I see spirits. But
Okay.
it has to be damp. But otherwise, it's more the UFO-y thing that I experience out here in time warp stuff. But anyway, well, we've kept you. This is so good. Thank you for sharing those stories because
Absolutely.
it's kind of it's vulnerable to share those kind of stories. You know, I know for me, it took many years before I even talked about half the, stuff that I went through because people think you're nuts or just embellishing or making stories up. And part of the problem in our society is that we don't talk and share our vulnerabilities. And we're just all in our little cultish bubbles and the world's going to shit because of it. So, I think it's important to share those things.
Yeah.
And you never know, somebody could be listening and maybe it's like, oh, okay, I can talk to mom or dad. You know what? If it's a little boy experiencing this and feels like he can't say anything.
Well, I think that's one of the positive things about programs like this. And there's other things too, but like mental health issues and whatnot. But yeah, there's always been a stigma to, saying that you've experienced anything that isn't part of the natural world. But there comes a time, like I said, for me, when I hit my 60s, I was like, I don't care. Well, what are they going to do to me? They can't fire me. I just got to be really, 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 really careful about what I post on social media about politics because my kids are in the military. And that's a whole there, But yeah, so I think I enjoy listening. I really enjoy listening to your stories, Jose, because first of all, you've got a really great way of telling a story.
He's good.
It's just enjoyable to listen to you, and also other people out there that might be wondering, I need to talk to somebody, maybe now that this, watching something like this or listening to something like this, any of these types of programs would give people a little more comfort, to try to say, hey, this happened to me. And, it may sound crazy, but, this happened to me. This is my experience. That's your testimony.
Yep. And people can call in here and talk directly. And we also, or they could click the link and join by video. I try to make it as accommodating as we can,
Yeah.
And no judgment, it just is what it is.
Yep.
But man, Jose, thank you. I'm so glad you didn't get booted off this time.
I know. I'm like, I was crossing my fingers the whole time.
When you froze at first, I thought, oh my God, here it goes again. So, okay, so what do you guys think? Al, it's up to you. Do you want to do New York next week?
No, I don't know. I think, maybe there's people that are expecting, Delaware, next or whatever.
I think Colorado.
Colorado, yeah.
Okay, so we'll hear.
Let's just stay on the thing. That's fine. We'll eventually get to a state that I lived in.
Well, thank you all so much. So we're on, Saturday at 4 Pacific time. And what time is it there, Al? What are you? 7.
It is 8:30.
Okay. So lights and
hey, if you ever do an international version of this, I did spend 4 years in Central America.
Oh, that's worse. Yes. All right. Well, this is really fun. So y'all enjoy your weekends. Jose, text me if you need rides or whatever, going on.
All right.
So, all right. Well, good to see you all. Tell Day we said hello.
I will. I'll pass it on. This is Ohio.
All right. Okay, gang. Well, until next week. And thanks again, Jose. Appreciate it.
See you next time.
All righty.
Thanks so much for joining us. We love hearing your stories, so tell your friends so they can join the party. For show notes and our forum of high strangeness, visit cosmicfold.com.
Remember, Cosmic Fold airs live on Wednesday and Saturday nights, so be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell to know when we're on air. Thanks again and have a great evening.